how to be consistent. You know, so many people start a project, they start a book, and they just leave it off. And you have teams that start, you know, on a event planning, or they want to work on a agenda, and they just leave it off. We have a hard time being consistent. So how do you maintain consistency? You know, crazy example I could give you of being inconsistent is when a kid is developing, right? So my niece, when she was a little younger, she used to like Odd Squad, right? Everything about it she loved. I mean, she wanted to go to Canada where it's filmed. She would, you know, make this Odd Squad sign on the door. That's where the Odd Squad headquarters, and you know, that was the whole thing. And you know, I was talking with her. I say, no, you know, there's gonna be a point you're not gonna like Odd Squad anymore. You know that, right? She's like, no way. This is the best thing on the planet. Okay. Now, then she moved on to American Girl doll. Now she, you know, I got her this doll, and now she's all about the American Girl doll culture. She wants to go to France because of the doll, you know, in that fake story went to France, and she said, I just love the Eiffel Towers, and I said, you know what, you know that you soon you're not gonna like this either, right? And she said, no, this is the best thing. And now she has moved on to, you know, baking shows. So she watches on YouTube how to bake things, and that's all her life now. She's all about baking. She, I just love baking. I want to get a baking book. I want to get a baking apron. It's all about that. So with kids, you see this very clearly because, you know, they're developing through the stages. And it's not even just for kids, for adults, all of us. You know, I remember a brother, he told me one time, you know, he's very influential, he's been a big donor. He told me one time, you know, I want to create a youth political task force. I said, okay, what's the plan? You know, very hyped, and told me about X, Y, and Z. Then you know, after a month later, he tells me, oh, I'm trying to open up a Islamic university. I think there's a big need in the Ummah. I said, oh, okay. And then it comes a few days later, and now he's talking about, you know, about some charity organization he wants to develop. And so people just are not consistent. They don't pick a thing and stick with it. They don't see it through. And so why is it that we have a hard time being consistent? And you know, I want to propose to you a few ideas, all right? So number one is that if you're not consistent, if you find yourself that you're jumping from things to things, first thing you want to ask yourself is, am I really deep down passionate about this goal, about this vision, about what am I working on? So that's the first question. How passionate are you? All right. So you have to make sure that what is it that you're doing, you're passionate about. So when people tell me, I don't know, I can't be consistent, I ask them, you know what, I'm not even worried about that. I want to ask you, are you doing the things that you're so pumped and passionate about? That's the first question. Second thing is, do you have a very clear plan, very clear, you know, action item that this month I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and then next month, and these are the budgets. Do you have everything very clear and organized and very time bound? If you don't have it, it's hard to be consistent because you just have the hype, just the energy. You take 1-2 action, then the hype goes away because emotions changes. Hype, you know, dies down, and so you just start to, you know, just wither away, and your goals goes away. So you're not consistent. So second thing is making sure that you have, you know, very concrete plan and a timeline and the action plan of how you're going to do whatever you're doing. Once you have that, then you have more easier time being consistent. Thirdly, and this is the really magic, the third thing is you want to be able to create a ecology of good peer pressure around you. Ecology of good peer pressure around you. What does that mean is, number one, you want to, you know, perhaps make a public commitment. And I know all these YouTubers, they do this, right? They get up, guys, for the next 1 month, I plan to do this. And you know what, as much cheesy as it actually works. You know, people who say, you know what, my 1-year goal is to do this and that, and they publicly put it up on Facebook, whatever they do, it actually works. So for you, it may not be social media, but just talking to your close friends and family and telling them, look, this is what my goals are, and this is what I want to achieve in the next 1 month. And you show them the actual plan. Don't just keep it in your head or in your book. You know, create that pressure around you. People will hold you accountable, right? And then number two, you want to have, you know, groups that encourage you in that direction. So if you're trying to, you know, say, no, I want to be a little more consistent about, volunteering in the masjid. So then join a group that's volunteering. If you say, I want to be more consistent about, you know, praying Fajr in the masjid, then don't join, you know, a few group of folks who show up to the masjid on Fajr time. If you say, you know what, I want to, be able to work on my body, then maybe join a, you know, group that is talking about, and you go with friends who are very, you know, hyped psyched about working out and things like that, you create a culture around you, around people who can force you in that direction. You create a good, positive peer pressure around you. So you make a public, an announcement and a public commitment for something. So if you hold you accountable, and then you join groups that will motivate you, whether it be interest groups. You go, meetup.com. You go for interest groups who do biking, interest groups who read one book a day, book clubs, whatever it is. Being able to find those interest groups. And thirdly, having a mentor or coach, right? Having a mentor or a coach who can, hold you accountable. Someone who can tell you, okay, do this, do that. You know what? It's interesting. When you were a child, your mom took care of you, right? She made sure you took books to school. You had a bag, okay? You got up in the morning. She made sure you did your homework. And then all of a sudden you become 18 or you become a young adult, and you have no one to check on you. Right? And that's why obviously, kids when transitioning from young adult and they're transitioning into professional, life, they have very hard time being on time. They have a hard time maintaining things, irresponsibility. All that comes because their parents are less and less regulating them, yet they haven't developed self-control to do it on their own, right? So having some sort of mentor and a coach who can give you the deadlines and you follow through the deadlines, that will help you be consistent. So if you want to be consistent, don't just complain about it. But number one, make sure that it is something that you're passionate about. If you're not passionate about it, just get rid of it. Honestly, you will not be able to stay consistent because you don't care about it. You don't have enough juice for it, okay? And then number two, you want to make sure that you have a very concrete plan. See, dreams are great, but unless you write them down, unless you put them into actionable terms, then they don't become a reality. All right, so you want to be able to really have a concrete 1 month, 2 month, a year plan, and with deadlines. Right? And once you have that, then number three, make sure you create that ecology around it, the ecology of good peer pressure, whether it be public commitment you make with your friends and family or on social media, or two, you get groups, interest groups, and that really force you in that direction, and then three, getting mentor and coach that will help you. If you do this few things, you'll be able to stay consistent whatever that you take part in.